Good evening once again to all the viewers, and thanks to the moderator for having me once again on Zambia today. I wish to take this opportunity to thank all our followers throughout the country, and of course those that are watching us through YouTube in the diaspora and various parts of the world. I should say it is humbling that you have been able to follow us for the greater part of the year. Our program has been on air for over a year, and we are thankful for this opportunity to be able to send a message of hope for this country that is under immense pressure. Currently, we have over 2 million citizens that are following us, and I want to say congratulations to UPPZ and its followers for clocking a year on television. It must be understood that never in the history of Zambia has a single politician been on air for a year. So we have made history as UPPZ. This evening, as we look at our leadership session, I'm looking at something that is very difficult, something that is very hard when it comes to a life of a leader. Basically, we want to share on the tearful life of great leaders. You know, people want to become leaders without understanding that leadership calls for tears. That is why not everybody can become a leader. No wonder the Bible says, many are called, but few are chosen. There are tears in leadership. And when you look at the tearful life of a leader, you know, our example, like we normally do every Sunday, we have to look at the scriptures. I mean, we are in a Christian nation. We need to respect the declaration, and one way to respect that is to once in a while refer back to the scriptures. When you look at the scriptures, the best example we can look at on the tearful life of a great leader is the life of Jesus Christ. That's a man that was God. And the Bible declares, "This is my beloved son." Now, when you just look at the beginning of what God said, how he introduced Jesus in John chapter 3, you can see that this is my beloved son. But then God says, "I'm well pleased." But remember, here is a beloved son who came and lived a tearful life. From the beginning, the very moment that Jesus was born, Herod wanted to kill him. Can you imagine? That's the life of a leader. Even when you are just born, before you become a leader, there is that life of struggle. This is why those of you that have been following, especially when you look at our forefathers, look at Africa and all the liberation icons we have in Africa, most of them, those who lived, they will tell you they faced troubled lives. Some of them were imprisoned for no apparent reason, just for desiring to have a better life for their citizens. Go to the Southern Africa, go to South Africa. We know about Nelson Mandela. He spent 27 years in prison. And when he became president, just 5 years. I mean, those are leaders. If there was anybody in Africa who should have desired to be a life president, it was President Nelson Mandela. But he showed us that he was not just a politician, he was a leader. So when you're talking about leadership, we have this side of a tearful life. And I'm going to borrow the word tearful just to be able to explain what that means for you and me that want to be leaders, that are called to be leaders. It's not a journey on a bed of roses. Those of you who think that, no, I want to become a leader, I want to become a counselor just to sell land, forget, my brother. Go and sit down and think twice about what true leadership is. Now, when you look at the word TF, we've got 7 letters there. It's TEARFUL. tearful. Now, one, when you look at the letter T, it introduces us to a life of trouble and yet keeping a leader courageous. So that's number one. It's a life of trouble. It doesn't matter what you do, no matter how good you are. If you are wearing the shoes of a leader, trouble will always follow you. But you need to be courageous. So one, it's a troubled life, and yet those that are called to be leaders, they are courageous. They don't give up. That's what it means to be courageous. You don't say, no, the trouble is too much, I'm going to give up. There is the never giving up attitude. Those are leaders. Apart from that, look at E. E is envied, but loving. That's something. A leader will always be envied. Look at young Joseph. The father made for him a coat of many colors. What do we see from that aspect? His brothers envied him because he had a coat of many colors. They hated him. Envy breeds hatred. When you discover that despite the good that you are doing, there is envy and hatred, just know that is a direct confrontation to your loving attitude. Remain loving, because those that are envied, those that are hated, they are got a great temptation of becoming hateful. So you need to avoid that. Envied and yet loving. It's something that is telling us that when you are a leader, when you are thinking about the tearful life of great leaders, it is a life of agonizing and yet strong. Agonizing and yet you remain strong. That's leadership. So it's a life of agony. Yes, there may be benefits, there may be rewards, but don't forget, it is a life of agonizing and yet strong. Then the letter R, it's restlessness and yet peaceful. Can you imagine? It's a restless life. You don't rest. Some people have been asking me that, when do you rest? It's very difficult to rest as a leader. A leader is restless. You will continue working, but in the midst of restlessness, there is peace. And that peace, nobody must take it away from you. Don't allow that peace to be disturbed, because once your peace is disturbed, then it will disturb all that you are doing. Apart from that, we have the letter F. That letter gives us the word forsaken yet kind. Can you imagine? You may be forsaken. That's leadership. Do you know what it means for people to vote against you as a leader? That's like you're forsaken. And at that point, many people become unkind. They want to reciprocate. They want to fight back. They want to revenge. Leaders don't do that. If you lose elections and you are a leader, you continue doing good, but how many out there have been doing that? So that's leadership. That's the core of a leader. Forsaken and yet kind. They never lose their kind heart. They continue doing good. Apart from that, we have the letter U. Undermined and yet respectful. That's very difficult. Most leaders are undermined. People will look at your weak points and they want to capitalize on your weak points. And people are forgetting. When you're thinking about leadership, a leader is not an angel. And you need to understand, leaders are not angels. That is why we do not have a single angel as a leader. They are human beings. They might have, priorities, human priorities. They might have some weaknesses. Look at the Bible. Wasn't Joseph weak? He was. Why did he imprison his own brothers? That was a mark of weakness. He wanted to revenge, but somehow he changed along the way. Look at David. Don't you know what David did? He grabbed somebody else's wife, killed the man. Those are weaknesses, and they are recorded in the scriptures. So those of you that are looking for leaders who are angels, well, you may not find them here. Just die
and make sure you go to heaven, you will find leaders that are angels. So there are those issues. But don't undermine a leader because of his moral weakness. That may be there, but that is something God deals with. You are not God to deal with that. Apart from that, the last letter is laughed and yet helpful. Do you know why people are not helpful? They say, no, these people were laughing at me. I cannot help them. Never go to that extent. A leader may be laughed and yet he becomes helpful. That's our study on the leadership. And I do believe that those of you that have been following, you can see that we want to develop leaders that will build this country and take this country further. Having done that, our next part, we want to go straight into, what we want to discuss today. And we are talking about, the coming by-elections. Yes, there are so many by-elections on the cards. And this is worrisome. We need to do something about this issue of by-elections. It is draining the coffers of the state. Yes, we have natural by-elections. We do understand. But then at the end of the day, we also have man-made by-elections. We do not have the resources as a country. Our people are dying. Our farmers can't get money. Surely you want all the money to go to the printing of ballot papers. Do we deserve these by-elections? And those of you political party leaders who have become so careless, you are looking for anybody who can resign. 2021 is coming. Should God give us the right to the throne of this country, this is what we want to do. We want to make a law that once you defect during your term, you are banned by ECZ forever to participate in an election. That's what we are going to do. So that these people that are political prostitutes, we deal with them forever. We want to stop that because it is retrogressive. It is affecting the economy. And instead of making the old people and the vulnerable, the poor in the streets, to be able to receive these monies, we are printing useless papers for voting, and yet after voting, another person is going to resign. We need to bring that to a stop. But in any case, we want to talk about the by-elections in Sesheke, the parliamentary by-elections. May the soul of the late MP rest in peace. But my concerns are that already information reaching us that one of the political parties, they are distributing sugar, they are distributing meal, they are distributing, cooking oil and clothes. That is fine. That is Christmas for the people. But surely this is a political party that has been in power and has never bought not even a single pair of shorts for an orphan in Sesheke. But because somebody has died, you now begin to buy clothes. So, me, I'm afraid. If we are going to wait for somebody to die, then we deliver development. That is blood development. And I'm scared of that. Let us assist our citizens. Let us do that which is right, not just to win elections. We must do what we can to help all the citizens. And surprisingly, the people who are receiving those things, it's not the whole Sesheke. It is the constituents where there will be elections. That's where you can be suspicious. If this party means well, why not distribute cooking oil to everybody? Why not distribute meal to everybody in Sesheke? Why have you only chosen to distribute to the people that are going to be voting? That is something. But what can you do? What can you do in a country where you have a body that manages elections and it is biased? There's nothing you can do. But one day, Zambia will be delivered. We will have an election body that will be firm and will ensure that we follow the electoral code of conduct. That is important. But we now want to appeal to all the participating political parties. Let us maintain peace and order. we can learn to live together. That is democracy. We do not have to show animosity towards each other. Let us exhibit maturity in these by-elections. We managed in Mangango. There was no violence. Let's make sure that we maintain peace and have peaceful elections. Let's respect the democracy of the people, the democratic right of the people to choose who they want without any form of manipulation. And on a concluding note, I wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year. I'm saying, may the Lord richly bless you. I know we have had hard times, but God has seen us through, and there are better things coming ahead of us. May peace reign, and let us be strong, and let us ensure that we do not destroy that which God has given us. God bless you, and pleasant listening.